I'll try and explain this very simple. First, to know who you are, you've got to know your roots and where you come from. So we'll go back all the way back to all the empires. If we look at history, all the empires, so the Mayans, the Roman Empire, the ancient Egypt, China, they all collapsed. Every one of them collapsed. The UK never collapsed. The UK took over 3/4 of the globe. But who saved the UK? Because all of these empires ran out of money. China was the longest lasting empire because they had both philosophy and structure. They worked with nature, and they had Lao Tzu and they had Confucius, and they lived with the philosophy of leaving things. They had a yin-yang sort of effect, and China was the longest lasting empire out of them all. Ancient Egypt, they had sun gods and the pyramids and built great wealth, and then their gold got stole, obviously, the Roman Empire, and they took over the globe. And then the Mayans were even longer back in history. Every one of them have failed. Every single empire has failed. The UK never failed, but it was just about to fall. It went through a famine, and it was about to fall because the money system was going away. So the Jewish people helped the UK, because Jews weren't allowed to buy houses in the UK or in Europe. So they learned the money system and the banking system. So the Jewish helped the UK to collect the money system, so they never ran out of money, so they could help the famine. So we look back to the faith and the Bible and Moses' times and stuff like that. We all go through a history, and you've got to learn about both Gandhi and Hitler. You have to understand good and evil and wars and how it started. So no religion has ever caused a war. All religions have been caused by governments and political systems and that stuff, the hierarchies of structure. They use organised religion in that power, but religion is a personal thing. Religion is personal. It's always been individual. Any religion, from Buddhism to Christianity to Islam, they're all individual stories of the human self, the self-worth. All religion is based on nature, self-worth, health, happiness, love, and energy. These are stuff based on a spiritual connection to life in the world around you. When it comes to net worth, the material part of the world, status, hierarchy and career, the structured world, all empires are structured. The UK taught the world 3/4 of the globe it owned, and it taught them a language. The English language can be mistaken because words mean different things in different languages. The English language has different words. So an accountant, a dentist, a lawyer, a financial expert, an investor, they all use a language. You've got to learn the language of English language. They used the Korean education system, not for people to become business owners. So we'll use this. So the Korean education system in Britain, Britain wanted to put the world to work, so they made everybody become an employee around the world, and they would use words to systemise the education system, so everybody would work for Britain and teach the education. So Britain got the idea from Islam, created a university, the School of Learning. They were about words, and Buddhism obviously taught mental health and psychiatry. Christianity, everything is all given. So the UK empire was built on putting people to work, not working hard. You don't get so the people at the top would send people to work to learn to be employees. They created schools and education systems and structure to fit people in a box and a system of status, hierarchy and career. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just the way society and the system works, and that's your net worth. So everybody is trained to be an employee all around the globe, in English language, and education is based on the UK government, used by the system of money and capitalism around the world, with an education centre on universities and hierarchies and dominance of variety of status, hierarchy, career, symbols, politics, governments. All that stuff is hierarchy, and all made to be employees so everybody fits in. Self-employed you can be as well, but business and investors are not taught. You're not taught this stuff. You have to learn this yourself. Adam Smith, the Scottish guy, the father of modern capitalism, he talks about the invisible hand and how the money system works, and the Jewish faith have been capitalist throughout history. The money lending, there's nothing wrong with money lending in Judaism, but Christianity and Islam, and they don't do money lending. They believe in the spoken word and the hard work, and the Jewish people are hard workers as well. They believe that serving gods or their children is making money, and when they were banned from making houses, the Jewish in biblical times, it's always been a story of every single time they've been raised out of the land, from Moses all the way. And obviously the Jewish and Christians is the Jesus part, that's the bit they disagree on, but the whole Bible, the first part, is the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament. So they talk about old history stories. So it's all these people have driven out the land, and they've always built prosperity and wealth everywhere they've went throughout history. And then Jesus talks about giving taxes to Caesar, because the Caesar's taxes, that's the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire collapsed. The UK Empire, that was about to collapse. The Jewish capitalist system from Adam Smith and the invisible hand and how money works. So everybody's taught to be an employee. Adam Smith was teaching business and investing. This is the capitalist part and how the system works in the global economy. So you have to look at this stuff. You have to learn from the wars of Hitler and Gandhi. So Hitler was really upset with the religion. It wasn't the religion, it was the capitalist part of the government, the banking system. So it was the bank and money making money, investing and like gambling as they call it. Hitler was upset because he wanted the power in houses and that stuff, and he couldn't understand why they were making more money and how it all worked. So he wanted to stop the banking system because that is how you paid for wars and status. So all these empires failed because they ran out of money. So even every single empire, it costs money to run an empire. So all the empires failed, and the UK empire was saved by capitalism and money and that stuff. Just about to go through a famine in the UK, and obviously the Germans had a war, and they had a war. And the reason they had a war was because of the empire and because of the money system. The German guy Hitler was in a bad mood because he wanted to get the money because he wanted the money system. So he understood how the money system worked, how they weren't paying taxes, how the business investors were thinking. He wanted to attack this to get the money system in order to create an empire and take over the globe through that power, the way Alexander Great and all these people that talked how great they are, status. It's just in social media today, everybody talks about how great they are. They're chasing status and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of one of the human needs, which is significance, to be different. We'll go into that in a second. So Hitler wanted to get the money to create an empire. Gandhi fought the British Empire, so Gandhi had power. He had no money, no status, no titles. But Gandhi beat the British Empire by understanding the law. He understood the Magna Carta, which is the law as an individual free speech, and Gandhi became an individual. It started, gave its independence, and then obviously we go from that. Hitler chose the bad and to fight the system that way, and Gandhi chose another way and beat the system. So Hitler had a war, Gandhi chose non-resistance, and then we have it today, where we're in the world today. So who do you want to be in this world today? That's the kind of story you came from the past. Who do you want to be? So there's today, you've got your self-worth, your nature, your religious spirituality, your health, happiness, energy and love. That's your self-worth. That's the things that will give you self-worth. Then your net worth is your career, lifestyle, hierarchy and worth. You're going to be an employee, self-employed, business investor. If you're going to be a business investor, you have to learn this stuff yourself. Everything is set up to make you an employee. The whole world is set up and ran in the system to make you an employee. It's as simple as that. If you want to learn out of that, you can learn that. There's always poker players and writers and poets and artists that take their creative gifts and mix all this together. You've got to have life goals and direction. You've got to understand who you are. You understand how systems work, your health system, your body, your mind system, the natural system. Use your talking mouth in communication. This is the biggest skill. The mouth, the talking mouth, if you took all religions from Christianity, Judaism, Bible times, Moses times, all empires have used the talking mouth in communication. Even Gandhi or Hitler. Hitler used it for the bad, Gandhi used it for the good. It's using your talking mouth to raise out of adversity. Muhammad in Islam was put out to the deserts, and then he used his talking mouth and communication skills. So Islam and Christianity, Jesus the master teacher was a man of words. Alexander the Great and Hitler and these sort of things tried to get power by force. Like today's psychology of money, people were buying cars and titles and watches to get respect. They don't get respect that way. They think it will bring them respect. But the psychology of it is Jesus the master teacher and Muhammad and the religions and faith and philosophy. These people lasted throughout history because they used the mouth, the spoken word. But you've got to have principles. You've got to have values. Everyone is a result of their own personal philosophy. So that's the number one skill in everything. Is number one is your personal philosophy. This is, if you don't understand anything, this is the one thing in anybody's life. It's personal philosophy, and it comes from the 6 basic human needs. So you have a need for security. Everybody wants to feel safe, so that's security. But if you're safe all the time, you get bored. So you've got to have a bit of an adventure. So that's the second human need. Then you've got to have significance. You've got to be different. You've got to be an individual. So we have groupthink. So everything's part of the group. We'll take it back to the individual. I'm all about the individual, sharing their stories, philosophies, ideas, and helping create the world. So significance, people get it different ways. Drugs, tattoos, status, symbols, cars. They chase significance to be different. Next after significance, connection and love. We live in this world of connection because love's too scary. Love is deep, it's emotional, it's raw, it's real. Love is the real one we want to go for, but people go for connection. So it's connection or love, and then after the two, so you've got security, a bit of adventure, you've got your significance, you've got connection and love. Next you want to go into growth and contribution. When you're growing and you're giving, you're constantly happy. No matter what you're doing, if you're creating, you're growing and you're giving and you've got connection or love and you've got a bit of significance and you love adventure and you've got some security, that's your 6 human needs. There's your self-worth. You've got all this in here. Health, happiness, energy and love. That's your self-worth. I'd say about 80% of your life is this, and then 20% is your net worth on your material part. So if you have 80% in self-love and 20% on your structure and hierarchy, understand the system where you want to place yourself in it, business, self-employed, investor, stuff like that. Understand yourself, your values, your principles, your talking mouth, your personal philosophy, system.